Now, we've talked an awful lot. I think it's about time to start rolling into a demo. There's one last little thing that we got to talk about though, and then we can do a demo. I promise. We'll get to a demo. All right, but first, let's talk a little bit about how we're going to apply all of this style. And as it turns out, there's 3 different ways that you can apply a style sheet or style to a page or to an element. The first way, and this generally speaking is the preferred way, is to link to it. So you'll notice that it's a link, relevance equals style sheet, type equals text wax CSS, and then wherever that reference happens to be. Now the nice part about doing that is once again that nice clean separation of concern. So that way my style's over here, my HTML is over here, my JavaScript is over there. So that nice clean separation of concern. So that way when I'm focusing on the HTML, I can focus in on the HTML. And then when I'm focusing on the style, I can focus in on the style. On top of that, this is also going to give you reuse. So that way I can use that on multiple pages. All right. Well, what happens if maybe there is a style, but I only want it on one page? And maybe, or I should do an or there, or maybe you're just looking to go in and play around a little bit. That maybe I don't want to create a full separate CSS file, that maybe I'm just doing a little proof of concept, I'm just doing a little bit of whiteboarding, and I just want to be able to test something and just kind of see how something is going to work real quickly. Well, you'll notice that you can actually just toss style into the head section on a page. And it's going to be that standard CSS syntax that we saw before, where I've got my selector, curly brace, and then the individual values inside of there. So just put that right there into the page. And then finally, last but not least, you can also, if you want, put style directly onto an element. And that's just simply going to have those property value pairs right inside of there. Now, I know some of you are probably already wondering, well, what happens if it turns out that we have something in a style sheet that's external, something inside of a page, and then something on an individual file? You're probably wondering that, and I'm with you. We're going to get to that. See, there's your little teaser. I promise we're going to get to that. But first, let's actually get in and start doing a little bit of a demo. I think it's time, don't you?
Yeah, start to actually see the CSS in action.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. And I'm going to apologize, and this is going to be my one apology. You are going to notice I'm sort of down a paw here. I really should come up with like a fantastic story involving ninjas or something, but I actually just lost a battle with a wine glass, which is really what happened there. So if you notice my typing is a little slow, there's my apology. I
mean, the tragic gumbo loss, I think, is a good story.
Yeah, that is a good story. I had this fantastic pot of gumbo, cleaning a wine glass over here. Wine glass shatters. And of course, the glass also wound up in the gumbo, so the gumbo was lost. That was tragic. That was tragic. We'll be holding a memorial service later this week for the gumbo. So please send free powder. Okay. In any event, my house was smelling fantastic as well. All right. Let's go in and let's set up a basic web page here. Now, you're going to notice that in all of our demos, we're going to be doing basic HTML here. So we're not going to be doing MVC. We're not going to be doing Flask. We're not going to be doing PHP. We really are focused in on just the CSS. But one big thing to highlight is, of course, you can use CSS with MVC, with Flask, with PHP, with Node. So it's going to apply everywhere. But one of the big things that we wanted to try and do is keep it as simple as possible. And so really just HTML.
Yeah.
So I don't think any of your demos have MVC in them, do
No, they don't even have JavaScript in them, because I just want you to know that all the styling, CSS.
Exactly. Just CSS. All CSS all the time. Okay. So in any event, let me go in web and let's go in and CSS demos. And I'm just going to highlight mine just to separate them from yours. Christopher Demos. There we go. Perfect. And let's hit OK. And by the way, we are going to be throwing all of these up onto GitHub, and we'll go ahead and share out the little GitHub link a little bit later. But all of these will be available for you to use. Creating projects. Perfect. OK. So let me just go in and say add new item. And HTML, and let's go ahead and call this my index page. And let's get rocking and rolling here. All right, now for right now, I'm just going to put the style right inside of here. And the reason that I'm going to do that is just for simplicity's sake, because I'm going to be kind of bouncing back and forth between the style and the HTML. So just to avoid going back and forth from file to file to file, I'm just going to do it inside of here. And then in a couple of minutes, we'll go off and move that somewhere else. So let's just go in and say style, which is spelled like that. Cool. So now let's go in and create a little div tag. And of course, since this is a development class, we're required hello world.
Hello word.
Ah, there we go.
It's also a real thing, hello word.
Yeah.
If you're creating your first Word document.
There you go, yeah, hello word. Yeah, that would work. All right. And now, Control F5. And I'm just going to use the snap feature here, maybe. Where's my browser? Come here. There we go. OK. And let me also kind of zoom in on that real quick. All right. So I'm just going to use the snap feature here. And Windows 7 was my idea. There we go. So there's our page over here on that side, and there's our HTML. So like we mentioned, the way that style works, if you want an element, all you have to do is to simply say the name of the element, curlies, and then right inside of here, key value pair. So let's just go in and change the font. So I'm going to say font family, and I'm going to use Comic Sans MS here. I would never recommend that you ever actually use Comic Sans MS. But the reason that I'm using it is really just because of the fact that you'll notice it's a very visible change. So sort of like changing the color, you know, that's very visible. The moment you change something to Comic Sans MS, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Oh, it's also worth noting that Christopher put the style in the head part of the HTML document. Yep. And if you are doing in-page CSS, that is where you should put it.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. OK, so there it is. That's all there is. Just simply name of the element, and away you go from there. But if I wanted to go in and specify a particular, again, type, then what I could do is I could say title, and then, again, curly, and then maybe we go in and we say color, colon, and let's go in and change something to blue. Now, if I save this and I hit refresh, you're going to notice no changes. Because, of course, I don't actually have an element with a class on it. So let's go in and say div, and let's say class equals, I love that bit of IntelliSense. You'll notice that it actually, right there, yeah, title, there we go. And I can now go and say title. I'll just kind of keep it nice and easy, and I'll hit save, and I'm going to hit refresh. Now, when I hit refresh here, you're going to notice, of course, that title appears, that we were expecting, and you'll also notice that it's blue. And that we were also kind of expecting, because of course you'll notice that I had class, and I had my little class down here. But what are the other things that you might notice about that text? What font is it using?
Comic Sans.
It's using Comic Sans. Why is that? Well, what is cascading, or I sort of gave away the answer there. What does CSS stand for?
Cascading style sheets.
There you go,
Yeah.
Cascading style sheets. So, your styles will cascade. So we said that we want our div tags, all div tags, globally, to use Comic Sans MS. I said that I wanted something with that class to be blue. So what's happening is that it's applying all of those styles together. All right, now give me 1 second here. I just need to fire up my File Explorer here, just because I want zoom it and zoom it. Zoom it, because it's a great little presentation tool. And I'm going to bring up the F12 tools here. Because I love being able to go in and actually select the items, and we can see this in action here. So let me just kind of zoom that around, and I'm going to click on the little element selection button right there, and then let me click on title. And once I click on title, if I come over here, what you're going to notice inside of our style section is we've got our div tag here, and we've got our title class here. So it's actually showing me every single style that it read to make that happen. So why is it Comic Sans MS? Well, it's Comic Sans MS because we told div tags to be Comic Sans MS. And why is it blue? Well, because of the fact that we said that class title was going to be blue. So that's how all of that's going to come together. Now, you might be wondering at this point, all right, well, now we've seen that if you say, well, I want the font to be this and the color to be this, then it will combine everything. What happens if something said do red, for example, and something else said do blue?
Ooh, conflicts.
Conflicts. All right. Well, fortunately, we've got a full section on conflicts.